What is up, everybody? Solomon here. Super excited to be with Genfinity, interviewing a multitude of builders across Web3. Super excited today to have Emilio Canessa, Director of Global Adoption at the DFINITY Foundation. We're going to be diving deep into the weeds of the internet computer. Want to start these out because I always do with a little bit of an intro and a background. So, Emilio, if you could tell us a little bit about yourself and your role within the DFINITY Foundation, that'd be fantastic.
Absolutely. First of all, thank you so much for having me here. I was really looking forward to it. My name is Emilio. I serve as Director of Global Adoption at DFINITY Foundation. I wanted to be a marketer and an advertiser in life. I ended up being a serial entrepreneur, then turned into crypto. I started my journey at DFINITY as marketing contractor. Then kind of ideated a couple of new programs, implemented in that, moving to Zurich, where I live now, where our HQ is. And by the end of last year, assuming the role of head of global adoption. I hold a couple of masters in brand communication and customer experience, as well as a bachelor in science of communication and advertising. What you see here in my back represents the ICP Hubs program, a very well established outreach and growth program in the industry, which together with my team, I designed a couple of years ago. And it's still what keeps us busy the most, together with other, attached programs and functions. What are we trying to do here? So the idea is to create a global footprint for the internet computer via the centralized network of independent hubs, okay? So at the same time, this is an initiative that wants to be driven by the ecosystem and drive the ecosystem. It's a sort of, value-driven ecosystem design that we have in place here, which is also a pretty novel approach when it comes to Web3. In principle, everybody wants to have hubs now. In reality, succeeding in doing so, it requires a little bit of effort.
Yeah, totally. No, and we actually were doing content last year as well with, in collaboration with a couple of the hubs, which was great. We have a good amount of stuff on Genfinity's site too. I would love if you could maybe give us an overview of the role of the foundation in kind of the adoption of IC, because I'll give you a background. For me, like, I remember stumbling across internet computer. Oh my God, I'm probably crypto aging myself here, but maybe 4 or 5 years ago. And the thing that really stuck out with me was just the sheer size of, developers that were kind of involved. But I would love if you could maybe walk us through the foundation and what that represents.
Absolutely. And that's a very good question. Let's start with some clarity. So one thing is the DFINITY Foundation, another thing is the internet computer, and another thing is ICP, which is the governance coin of the internet computer. I know sometimes people tend to mix that up, but DFINITY Foundation is the Swiss-based non-profit tech foundation which launched the internet computer blockchain. And still today, it's a major contributor to the technical development, to the adoption, and to the growth of the ecosystem. You see a lot of people represented here. Indeed, DFINITY is one of the biggest and most established entities in Web3 and beyond. Engineers at DFINITY, they have put up enormous efforts developing the internet computer protocol. which we can, delve into a little bit more throughout the podcast. DFINITY was created, was founded by Dominic Williams, the mastermind behind the Internet Computer Protocol, and still president of the DFINITY Foundation. So,
yep.
Internet Computer Protocol is the actual blockchain, is a very advanced and peculiar layer 1 blockchain, often categorized as a layer 1 blockchain for simplicity. Indeed, it brings forward a vision for what we call a world computer. Indeed, the purpose of the Internet Computer is to provide what we call a world computer that will eventually replace the traditional IT infrastructure and host all of humanity's system and services, thus, enabling a new web not dependent on legacy IT infrastructure, or what we call Web 2. That high level can explain the difference between the two. Well, as everybody knows, the Internet Computer Protocol is governed by a DAO, a very big DAO, actually, one of the biggest in the industry, and there is a governance coin that is functional to that. That is ICP. So I hope I kind of made a little bit of clarity on that. We then have ICP hubs, which is an external network of entities dislocated globally, which they had the function of advancing, again, the awareness and the adoption of the internet computer technology in different modalities and different fashions that we can discuss if you'd like to do so.
Yeah. How many? I know there's a ton of hubs. How many hubs are there at this point?
Well, it is a little bit flexible at all times. This is a large operation, so it goes not extremely stable in terms of hubs all the time, but averagely around 25 and more, 25 to 30 very well established ICP hubs globally usually are in place, touching on averagely almost 40 countries at any given time. I saw you were showing the Global Town Hall, which recently happened. That's something very, very cool we can talk about maybe later. That involved a lot of users, enthusiasts. It was a marathon, pitching marathon.
Coordination. I'm sure the coordination for that is interesting.
Coordination, all hubs involved, any sort of stakeholders, 90 projects pitching, judges. I was judging in a couple of segments. I was really amazing, and also a strong testament of the strength of the community and the ecosystem at the moment.
Yeah. I want to ask, I think we're kind of at an interesting inflection point, and the adoption of blockchain and distributed ledger kind of globally. And from your standpoint, kind of having a seat at the table and kind of knowing what's going on with real world adoption, I would love if you could maybe walk us through whether it be, and maybe we tackle both, internet computer adoption, as well as just what your thoughts are on the broader kind of adoption of blockchain technology throughout kind of the world.
Sure. Well, I have the privilege of having my eyes off many different places around the world, and being involved and coordinating a lot of activities in different places. Blockchain adoption has different meanings depending on where we are on the planet. This is something that is also very interesting, is a concept that we call global and local at the same time. It goes more or less for, goes well for everything, but when it comes to blockchain, it's very evident, because the conception and the idea itself of blockchain, crypto, and whatever attached to that, it varies a lot, even from country to country in the same region. What's happening in Korea, for example, is completely different from what's happening in Indonesia or in Kenya or in Nigeria or in Europe at the moment. Or again, in America and South and North America, they have a very different approach, right?
Well, and it makes sense. I would imagine it makes sense too, because every jurisdiction has different pain points to solve that would actually make them want to adopt the technology.
Yes, there are different pain points, there are different regulations, culture is different. There are many countries, I don't want to name them now, but where the mentality is even not there, to adopt blockchain, whereas somewhere else, there are areas where you see regular businesses moving to Web3 to add, new functionalities, to give a better experience and enhance experience to their customers and users, to be innovating. There are other places where again, the focus is mostly, on policy, on finance, on the financial aspect, mostly going around, the adoption of Bitcoin, which is very important topic, across the board. So this, it's a very big topic. When it comes to the internet computer, we see adoption on multiple levels. We see adoption on an enterprise level, we see adoption on an institutional level, and we see adoption on an application level. I can talk for 3 hours about it, but I'd rather give a couple of examples that can also highlight how different it is, related to different areas. For example, the internet computer technology at the moment is used within the framework of a partnership, which is undergoing between DFINITY and UNDP, which is a branch of the United Nations. It actually was very well represented all over the media and the crypto media, so I guess many people listening, they know what I'm talking about. But it's focused on creating universal trusted credentials, which will be used to allow unbanked people to start, enjoying financial services, which at the moment they are excluded from. Of course, the focus of such an operation is not typically what we call the Western world. Indeed, this is something that is unfolding with Southeast Asian countries in mind, for example, and also others, but places where blockchain can go and solve an actual problem, such as the one I mentioned, such as many people being unbanked, and therefore, in their life having less opportunities just because of the location they live in. So it's very, very important, and it's a very good example of a bespoke partnership, which is also creating a very, very good social impact. There are other countries, such as Italy, Korea, countries that have a very prominent entrepreneurial background, where blockchain is used, how to say, at an enterprise level. So what we are seeing now is many very well-established businesses in South Korea adopting blockchain. So adding Web3 features such as token, such as NFTs, such as wallets and other, simply to move on and innovate and give a better experience to, as I said before, to the users. In Italy, there is a very, very nice use case, which is the 100% made in Italy certification, which is done on chain on the internet computer in partnership with Federitaly, which is an organization which closely works with the Ministry of Made in Italy. We have a Ministry of Made in Italy, of course. And you see many small businesses and small enterprises now wanting to use this certification, which is kind of pretty well representative of the company, of the product, etc. It's also secure because it's on chain. It happens through certificates that also becomes NFTs. So very, very difficult to tamper with. And we see a lot of adoption in the area of small enterprises, the ones that they have the need of protecting them from counterfeits, from Italian sounding, which is also an issue. I'm Italian, and I see that pretty often, right? Some company which is not in Italy call themselves or their product, which with a very romantic Italian name. Suddenly, that can be a problem, right, for the original manufacturer or whoever is producing that good. So and also at an application level. There's a very cool product related to identity, which was initially developed by DFINITY within the foundation. Is related to document tracking. It's called DocuTrack. Actually, it was initially designed in partnership with a pretty well-established Swiss private bank. The MVP is ready. There's a lot of interest around it. Many other financial institutions are inquiring on opportunities to use it. And this is a very good example of blockchain used at the application level. This is a product, is an actual product that somebody, users and employees or managers will interact with in order to securely manage documents and have many functionalities such as KYC, such as AML, collecting signature, all that stuff that can be translated into blockchain.
I think that's one of the things that I've heard a lot of. I've had like the opportunity recently to interview like Boston Consulting Group and like Deutsche Telekom and some of these other kind of enterprises that are kind of directly bridging the gap and kind of acting in that like solutions advisory type role, like integration type role. And I think like when you get into like the provenance aspects and like track and trace and like product passports and things that can like really impact traditional industry is like kind of where we're seeing the most headway right now, which is kind of funny because like in crypto, on crypto Twitter, it is like a very different environment of what adoption is like looked at as. but the most impactful things are things that like aren't necessarily like sexy to like retail audience, but like just solve a pain point within like traditional industry. And like even in the sustainability stuff, which I know we're going to get into, is like there's huge issues in carbon credits and all of those types of industries as well. I want to kind of ask you, as well, like I think a lot of this, you mentioned identity a bunch of times, and there's kind of this convergence of technology that's occurring right now. Distributed ledger and blockchain certainly playing a role, artificial intelligence, some of the zero knowledge stuff and DID. What are your thoughts on that? Because I know you guys deal in a lot of those areas of technology. But what are we kind of witnessing as the human race right now for all of this stuff converging at once?
Yes, it seems like now all these things are converging, and AI has obviously accelerated all that. There are like actual issues, maybe not now, but soon we'll have issues, proving humanity, proving that you have done something without wanting to reveal your data because some malicious agent could collect them and do something on your behalf, etc., etc. Even machines, all this very, very cool sector related to Internet of Things and DeepIn, etc. Will have to prove that they have done a certain work, etc., etc. Where will we go with this? Difficult to say. The thing is, it is accelerating. So there is a conversion of decentralized identity, DeepIn, and AI, which somehow is happening on blockchain, and is something that we keep a very close eye on. We can see about it, maybe talking a little bit more later on about the technical roadmap. Yeah, so far, at least concerning AI, there's a vision that we're bringing forward, and DFINITY, which is the vision regarding the self-writing internet, which is very, very important with regards to the connection between blockchain and AI, for example. Now, blockchain and AI is something that basically involves a restricted group of people, right? Developers that have such an expertise to be able to build on blockchain, build on AI, and do something with it. But imagine a world where AI could be able to build, on command, web services through natural language. So not even typing down stuff, but telling stuff to agents or services. That is very important because aside from issues related to ownership, to costs and everything else, will immediately open up an avenue for billions of people to start playing around, learning, working, monetizing on blockchain. This is something that at the moment is still not happening. It's still a sort of a niche in my opinion. It is becoming bigger and bigger. You have more and more builders, more and more users, of course, also because of institutional adoption, but you don't really have billions of people, working on AI alone, or blockchain alone, or let alone the two together.
Yeah.
So this is something DFINITY is majorly working on. There will be some very, very interesting release very soon. Keep an eye on Twitter, on the DFINITY account, for sure, on Dominic Williams' account, for sure. This is where you get the alpha, to use jargon we're familiar with and in crypto. And don't miss out on this, because the convergence of AI, blockchain, and potentially even DeepIn can be very, very important for the future of a lot of people.
I think what's interesting, and I'm curious just your take, like in a broader sense, like I have a feeling, I could be totally wrong, but like I feel like mass adoption of blockchain technology is basically like us as human beings. And this is just, I guess, from the individual standpoint, but like us as human beings kind of doing what we're already doing right now, but kind of blockchain being under the hood. And I don't know if you know, what your feelings are like, and how far away we are from that. Like, is it going to be like this aha killer app moment, or is it consistent work to lay the foundations to get us to that kind of mass adoption standpoint where it's just everything just works?
I have a couple of interesting theories of my own when it comes to this. There's a lot of attention to what you just mentioned, which is called abstraction, right?
Yep.
So blockchain should be abstracted somewhere so that users have a look and feel of typical web interaction that they have at the moment, and they don't care that much about the technology behind. This is a very legit opinion, although if it's not happened by now, well, still, there are chances that that might not be the way. Since AI took the stage, and by the way, based on the research and data that we have, basically 90% of the share of mind now concerning crypto and blockchain is related to AI, and it's a fact, right? Since AI is here, there's interesting theories which I also kind of not dislike, saying that basically agents will provide the blockchain UI and UX and experience for users. So it's still a kind of abstraction, but it's taken a step further in a way that you will deal with intelligent instances to do a bunch of stuff that you want to do on blockchain, and now either you don't know how to do, or just you're too lazy to do, or don't have time, such as trading or again managing things related to your identity or whatever. So there is a possibility in the future that the whole UX layer of blockchain, which is indeed the elephant in the room when it comes to potentially, talking about adoption, could be removed by AI. But I believe there's also an interesting scenario where younger generations will either be natively into this or more inclined to learn the logics behind blockchain, and therefore this adoption will happen the other way around, rather than facilitating a large number of users to use blockchain, but via what we can call education, right? Either self-paced education or whatever, school education or institutional education, but in a way that people will become more and more blockchain savvy, and then they will start appreciating more the advantages of distributed technology and everything that comes with blockchain. So these are my thoughts. Of course, this is something that it's now in the making, and history only will tell us how it went.
I hope.
We should monitor this. Like this is something that we have to monitor, because it's a unique moment, no, we're going through.
For sure.
So much technology converging together, and sooner or later, some magic will happen, right? It's inevitable, in my opinion.
I hope that they start encouraging. I mean, I know in the United States, at least with my kids, like the the financial literacy of that they build, you know, kids up through primary school and then high school was like pretty rough. Like I remember this is a total sidebar, but I remember my oldest came home from school like 3 or 4 years ago, and she's like, "Oh, they taught us about savings accounts today, and like whenever you put your money into a savings account, the bank has it in a vault." And I'm like, I would love to see this vault, because this vault doesn't exist anywhere. But
Yeah.
I want to touch base real quick, because I think one of the interesting things too is that in the blockchain space, we see kind of a lot of like, I don't know, like networks competing with each other. And I always find that kind of super comical. Like we haven't onboarded like 90 to 95% of the world, and yet like we're trying to, you know, compete for other networks users. You guys have taken a little bit of a different approach as far as actually trying to provide solutions. You know, I can think specifically of you know, chain key or CKBTC, and walk us through this and what this kind of represents, and kind of how IC can provide solutions to other networks that might have pain points, and it just kind of works.
Yeah. So the nature of the internet computer is like the internet computer is designed for, let's say, optimal web experience, right? And it's a unique case in the industry. And with that comes the fact that there are certain features that are very interesting also for other protocol to use and to explore, to serve better users and different kind of stakeholders. Now, just a quick recap. But smart contracts on the internet computer can serve web directly, right? That comes with the possibility of connecting different protocols and Web 2 and Web 3 without oracles, which is something that has been there for a while when it comes to the internet computer, but still surprises a lot of professionals in the industry, right? They're like, "Oh, wow, that's really." Performance, of course, are important. The internet computer is fast, has low latency, very high throughput due to the architecture of the protocol. Smart contracts on the internet computer are Googleable, right? Also related to what we discussed before, is very important. You know, people use in the future, probably they will use agent, whatever, but still they use the web to search for this and that. And if you want smart contracts to be you know, a main instance in doing a bunch of things, you need to give people, you know, the opportunity to search for that specific thing. Also, so the fact that the internet computer can host services, application, data, and everything 100% on chain, it's very attractive when it comes to potential industry partnership. That means that, well, the computation is done on chain, hence the name, you know, internet computer. You can host your front end, for example, on chain, which is a very nice feature. Storage can also happen on chain. So all this removing the necessity for legacy IT infrastructure is something that, you know, multiple protocols look at.
Well, and I know one thing that's interesting too, and I don't mean to interrupt, but like, can you just kind of mention in like how a lot of blockchain and Web3 is kind of built on top of the cloud, and you know, where you guys maybe take a little bit of a different approach, and what that represents, because I think that that's pretty interesting too, and maybe a lot of people aren't kind of aware.
Sure. People at the office will be very happy because this is really at the core, actually, of our proposition. So most of the time, when we hear the term, blockchain or built on chain, it might not be entirely accurate. As long as the ledger and the consensus and the tokens are managed by the blockchain, the computing, the storage, and the front end of whatever you might have been told that is built on chain, they are oftentimes built on traditional IT infrastructure providers. So usually when you hear about being built on chain, it's probably built 25% on chain, while the internet computer is a protocol that sits on a sovereign network of nodes, which are grouped into subnets, and the smart contracts are then living on those subnets, dispersed based on logics that are orchestrated then at the DAO level. Interesting also to mention that the consensus mechanism is not either a proof of work or a proof of stake, but indeed is a proof of useful work, which is this double layer architecture which I just mentioned. So those machines, they're the ones that provide, for the computation and for the storage. In fact, internet computer smart contracts, they're called canisters for a reason. They resemble a little can where you have, let's say, a bundle of code and a memory. This opens a lot of possibilities and opportunities. Even now related to AI, where it's well known in the industry that the only protocol that can host models on chain is indeed the internet computer, due to these prerogatives of the smart contract. Before, you were showing chain fusion, which is very, very important, is a proposition for interoperability, and it allows the internet computer to direct connect with other protocol without the so-called bridges, which can sometimes become tricky when it comes to third parties involved and hacking, and etc. Smart contracts on the internet computer, they can call and they can also update other blockchains, and the first of such cases was the Bitcoin integration, which is also a very successful case. But there are many protocols integrated now with the internet computer, such as Ethereum, upcoming Solana and Doge. Few of those integrations are curated by DFINITY Foundation, and few are actually independently developed at an ecosystem level, because of course all of this is open source.
Yeah, I think I'm curious just your take in a broader sense, if you expect collaboration across the blockchain industry to kind of continue or ramp up. I think that's kind of been an interesting to watch, kind of sitting back, is I think we've really seen maybe over the past 12 to 18 months that like networks that have been around for a handful of years at this point in time are starting to kind of figure out ways to overlap and maybe work together. I know, the Hashgraph Association and you guys announced kind of a strategic partnership maybe a month and a half, 2 months ago, and I'm sure that you guys have many more. But just in a broader sense, can you touch base on that? What's kind of going on with some of those collaborations and what you guys look for whenever it does come to like some of the correct partners with that?
Yeah, what I can say is that we have indeed set up a technical working group between Hashgraph Foundation and DFINITY Foundation. And engineers are actually at work now to outline the actual details of what could be successful collaboration in terms of, technical integrations, ecosystem, and so on and so forth. What are they discussing? Few things. Well, giving us access to the ICP technological stack, for example, to replace, as I said before, their hosting of front ends in traditional cloud infrastructure, which is also more secure under many point of views. Enabling new functionalities on the Hedera ecosystem, directly integrating via Chain Fusion different tokens. And last but not least, very important, also at an ecosystem level, we are exploring the possibility of enabling their AI agent offering so that Hedera application could run AI logics directly on chain using the capabilities on the internet computer.
Wow.
This is more or less where we are now. It's very exciting. It's, of course, this can become a very high-profile partnership in the industry, and we're rooting, all of us, for that. There are various opportunities going on with a lot of other actors in the industry. I can't really mention them because, if there isn't an actual announcement, it becomes a little bit awkward.
Sure.
To talk about it. But whenever it's usually the case that a certain protocol sees that the internet computer has certain capabilities that can be interesting, can be related to AI, related to DeepIn, related to Chain Fusion. These are mostly the main area, and then we do some work together to understand how this can mutually be beneficial, for the growth of both ecosystems.
I'll say just real briefly, like, it's always interesting to me because I've gotten to talk to so many people, like not even like native, people in crypto and Web3, but like I interviewed the BIA group, like, I don't know, this was like maybe 3 weeks ago. And the group CEO was, he mentioned obviously that they're exploring like stuff with the Hashgraph Association and Hedera, but then he also dropped in their DFINITY. Like, we've been working with them, like, and this is an example just briefly, like, of, real world integration and adoption. I mean, these guys, you can look at their office, the smart building, and they're building smart cities, but they're the largest like sustainable kind of, dealing with like waste aspect, like in the entire like Middle East for the most part. Like, so in the UAE, I mean, these guys are pretty much running the gamut. So briefly wanted to mention that because the group CEO gave DFINITY a shout out during our interview. So I thought that was pretty cool. I think,
yes, I believe that also we met in Davos. I believe this is where the news broke out. There were conversations about this, and since then, yes, I can confirm that work is in progress. So
that's cool.
This is real.
Well, I think that leads us kind of nicely into probably an area I know you're super excited about, which is kind of the technical roadmap as well. And whatever you want to get into with that, feel free. The floor is kind of yours here.
Well, yes. Although I am not part of the R&D team, I am very, very excited about all these new features, and work around the technical implementation. So DFINITY Foundation just released an amazing roadmap for 2025 and beyond, which revolves, it's pretty it's pretty extensive, and what you see is also pretty granular, right? There are all the milestone and everything. So there are a few pillars, right, of what you're going to see on a technical perspective on ICP in the next future. Number one, well, ICP as a compute platform, right? Hence the name, internet computer. So there's a lot of work related to lift any possible limitation related to smart contracts, right? And therefore, moving forward on a mission of becoming for real what we call the world computer. Number two, very important, AI. Technically, AI and blockchain, they don't really go along very well for a bunch of technical reasons. Although on the internet computer, we can try to successfully, kind of try on marrying the security of smart contracts with, the computational demands on AI. And this is what the technical roadmap will focus on concerning this vertical and this pillar. Chain fusion, which gets its name from chain key cryptography, which is the kind of cryptography that stands, at the base of the internet computer. Again, a lot of effort in enabling more direct interoperability with all major blockchains in a decentralized fashion. Next stops are Solana and Doge. Doge as an architecture which is very similar to the one of Bitcoin. By the way, the internet computer at the moment is very hot into the Bitcoin community. There are a couple of, they're probably the most bespoke protocols at the moment in the Bitcoin world that are either built or they heavily leverage the internet computer for their.
I know ordinals. There's a lot of stuff that ties in with ordinals on Bitcoin and kind of unique assets or items or unique assets that kind of live directly on the blockchain of Bitcoin. So maybe just very briefly tell us about that too. I had it in my notes. I want to make sure that we talk about it because I know I actually even was telling you guys when we did our kind of prep call to do this interview, I was doing a space with one of the I would say one of like the big developers in Hashgraph, and he gave a shout out to is it Bob Bodley and the stuff that they're doing with ordinals on IT. Yeah.
Yes. So thanks to Chain Fusion, thanks to Chain Key Crypto, internet computer smart contracts, they can hold and manage assets that are actually on the Bitcoin blockchain, right? And that started with CKBTC, which is the Bitcoin twin on the internet computer, but then extended to ordinals, and that opened a lot of avenues for builders such as Bob and others to to build incredible apps. Bob has built Odin.fun, which is an ordinal platform that serves as launchpad and marketplace, which is at the moment probably the most famous in the whole ordinals and Bitcoin space. Liquidium also leverages on internet computer smart contracts for escrow function and others. And this is very, very important. Possibly this connection between the internet computer and Bitcoin is at the moment the strongest.
Yeah.
Of all these areas of Bitcoin layer 2s, Bitcoin side chains, smart contracts on Bitcoins, etc. Call it the way you want, but really the internet computer is totally in pole position when it comes to this at the moment. And this, of course, happens thanks to Chain Fusion. Back to the roadmap, identity, as we said before, very, very important. On the internet computer, there is there is a decentralized identity protocol called Internet Identity, which allows user to log in into different apps in a decentralized way, in an anonymous way, which will be improved a lot. Also with regards to credentials. What does it mean? For example, a user will have to prove that they're human very soon, that they are of age, or whatever credential they want to prove, and a lot of work will be done in this direction. Digital assets, and this is very important when it comes to DePIN and the about assets. There is a lot going on in the industry. As I always say, AI is getting all the attention, but DePIN and real world assets are growing very strongly. There is also this kind of in real life aspect when it comes to this sector of crypto and blockchain, which is very human, which is very interesting. So digital assets will be a very important part of the roadmap with regard of proper token standards, compliant, of course, to meet enterprise requirements. With asset management, another great product that has been recently shipped is called Orbit. It's a secure solution for digital assets and smart contract management. Imagine it like a multi-sig solution, which allows you to securely manage token and smart contracts and more. Of course, all this will be multi-chain at a certain point, starting with Ethereum and then moving on to other ecosystem to allow basically users to sign, send transaction across multiple blockchain in a multi-party way, secure, and so on and so forth. These are, together with developer experience, the pillars of the roadmap. Is public, so find it on Medium, find it on the website. I invite everyone to go there to dig in, because we believe it's very solid, and there's a lot of learning there for builders, and people that are interested in blockchain technology.
I think just briefly, I think I have this kind of interesting viewpoint of like where, and I'm probably totally wrong. I'm sure I'm totally wrong, but I think that like, we live in such an attention driven economy right now, and all this different stuff is converging, especially with like identity. And we talk about tokenization of real world assets. I mean, that's probably been alongside AI, like past 12 to 18 months, it's tokenization. I think it's going to be really interesting as this technology comes together, because like I do believe that eventually we kind of like natively interact with like, on-chain economies and stuff. And I think that then I have to ask myself, well, what does that mean for like me and my individual data? Like, we live in an attention economy. A platform like Twitter is totally free for a reason, because I'm the product on Twitter. Yeah. Like, are there incentivization paths like for the way that I choose to interact with anything? Like, is my data essentially a real world asset? And I believe that it is. And I think over time it'll be interesting to watch that shift. But yeah, this roadmap that you guys hear from a technical standpoint is super impressive. And yeah, shout out to you guys. There's a ton going on in here. Definitely check it out on DFINITY's Medium. I want to ask you, Emilio, as we kind of ramp down here, we have a little bit of time left. It seems like we've also seen an evolution of how enterprise traditional incumbents kind of look at this space, and blockchain in general. Have you kind of seen that from your experience? Like, is it easier to get a foot in the door for adoption? And maybe just tell us a little bit about that.
Yes, I have seen it on multiple levels. as I mentioned before, enterprises are looking at blockchain in different fashions. Right? One is everything related to certification and proof of authenticities and stuff, which is very, very important for whoever produces brands and even services. Another is related to experience, as I mentioned before, and also to real world, to tokenization of assets, with regards to everything related to customers kind of becoming of acquiring ownership of a certain aspect of the business, right? So a more involved community, which stop being addressed as an audience, but it gets involved in a certain decision making with regards of multiple things, or sharing some profit of a certain part of the business. There's a project on the Internet Computer that aims at decentralizing computing power for AI, for example. There is another project that aims at decentralizing actual infrastructure, such as power banks that are rented to customers. They will be tokenized, so that user could benefit and also play a little bit with gamification and stuff around it. There is also a trend into trying and enhancing the product a little bit using blockchain technology. I believe that non-fungibles will play a role here. They're kind of coming back to mainstream with everything related to opening more level of experience related to a peculiar product. It is not easy because enterprises, once they are established, they face a bit of resistance in embracing new technologies and new things, and somehow can also be risky in a certain perspective. But it is coming. And also, let's not forget that we see a lot of new enterprises that are just born that way. They're natively born into Web3 in a way that in all the acceleration and incubation cohorts that we run around the world, you see that there are startups that have a very solid business case, a very solid use case, which is not necessarily native Web3, but the features are actually very well integrated for one reason or another, and is not necessarily a token. It can be anything. It can be related to data management. It can be related to storage. It can be related to whatever, right?
Yeah.
So this is also nice to see that startups and new businesses, they're looking at Web3 as an integral part of their pitches, their business plans, etc.
Well, I think this has been a really awesome interview. I would love, Emilio, if you can kind of walk us out with any forward-looking statements, what you're excited about. I think we talked about a lot. So, I mean, anything that you kind of want to say looking forward into this year and beyond would be great. And I certainly would want to have you back on again in the future.
Well, I'll be happy to be back. So just drop me an email and I'll be there. What to say? I believe we are at a point where we have a chance to really embrace this new technology, to really jump into Web3. I think, and I'm going to say it again, the combination of DeepIn, AI, and blockchain will be massive. This is what I am particularly enthusiastic for. I believe that a lot of barriers will be removed thanks to AI. A lot of kind of democratization will happen thanks to DeFin, and also, you know, more ownership will come thanks to the typical, you know, Web3 infrastructure. So that makes me, you know, very positive for the future of the industry, and hopefully we'll be able to make a real impact in the world. Until now, well, blockchain and crypto has advanced a lot. Imagine from zero to where we are now. It's huge, right? But now we have the chance to go next level. So I invite everyone to jump on the train, to stay informed, get to know better what we're doing with the internet computer, what we're trying to achieve, what is the work computer, why we're kind of supporting that vision so much. And well, it's exciting.
Yeah, no, 100%. I definitely want to mention, if you guys like this podcast, and thank you so much to Emilio, please feel free to give us a follow at Genfinity.io. We also have a ton of kind of written content on IC. Go to genfinity.io to learn more there. Please, if you want to learn more about all the work that's going on within the foundation, go to DFINITY.org. If you want to learn more about the internet computer, go to internetcomputer.org. Check out the ICP dashboard, dashboard.internetcomputer.org. You can check out their roadmap on their Medium. Follow DFINITY, follow the ICP Hubs network, and definitely follow Emilio. This guy is a wealth of information.
That's very important. Don't miss out on that.
At Canessa, Emilio. It honestly has been an awesome discussion. I really want to bring you back again in the near future. And thank you so much for your time today. Hang out with me for a second to make sure I get this recording, okay?